It's not normally the case that somebody rides straight from the gun, but that was almost exactly what happened in the first round. Njemcevic looking very happy. There is a very good camaraderie within the group. Here, well, let's have a rundown. This is the start list. Anna Weinbeer, Natalia Fischer, Paula Goreka-Kerman of Poland, Lejla Njemcevic, and then Sandra Meyerhofer, the Austrian champion Clara Sommer in there. Chelsea Bolton of the United States, 170, going very well. She went very, very well in the last round. And great to see a US jersey out on these courses. Other riders who might do quite well. Anita Poletta, look out for her. This is a race that can throw up the odd rider that you're not quite sure is going to be there. They'll be there or thereabouts within the top 20 of the World Cup standings, but you wouldn't perhaps expect them to see on the front, but that is the way it happens here. If you get a really good slot going into the single track, then and you've got the legs, then you can make a big amount of time over people. We'll be bringing you live coverage after these recaps of the starts. And as you can see, pretty early on, Anna Weinbeer here riding for KTM, but in the leader's jersey, and they're already sort of like playing around, making sure that one person is got the legs over the other. That's a nice aerial map, just zooming in on Capoliveri off the coast of Italy, and just look at this course. Absolutely brilliant switchback after switchback after switchback, running around the crown of the island and then down towards the coast through the tech zone at Inamorata Beach. I know that they've already been through there, Lejla Njemcevic and Anna Weinbeer in our shots doing that. There's a bit of a clue as to why we've got so many tracks around this coast.
Dann irgendwo in der Landschaft stehen. Mittlerweile hat sich dieses Business hier gelegt. Man ist mehr auf Tourismus und vor allem auch auf Sporttourismus aus.
Ja, okay.
Single track. Maybe running, it's a difficult balance for tyres here, whether you run a little bit harder for possibly a little bit more rigidity in some of these corners, or whether how low you go on those tyre settings to avoid any sort of flinty punctures. But there's been quite a gap. Walt Alleman was saying that it felt like that, quite a gap between Hero Costa Blanca, which was in Calpe on the 21st of February, and this round here at Capoliveri. We're out on the trails with the women's race, and that looks like Anna Weinbeer. Fantastic overall overhead shots. Big players in the women's race. I think people who are going to go well here. Weinbeer will go well, Fischer will go well, Njemcevic will go well. I'm not sure whether Sandra Meyerhofer has got the form for this, but certainly Weinbeer came into this leading the championship, and there she is in the red jersey, riding all by herself and looking super calm and collected, and the live timings will come up to give you an indication of where the main protagonists are in this field. Njemcevic, I think, is liable to be up there. She still suits this sort of course. There she is. Bosnia-Herzegovina is her jersey, and we're following it out on the single track.
Dawaj, dawaj, niewiele brakuje.
That is Gereka Kerman, Paula Gereka Kerman, the Polish rider. So it looks like they're all pretty much spread out as we've joined them live. We were focusing so much on the men's race. There's Sandra Meyerhofer, so she's hanging in there. We're looking back at what's been going on earlier in the women's race. And Anna Weinbeer has been riding ahead of just about everybody all the way through. There's Fischer, the Spanish champion, riding with Gereka Kerman, and Lejla Njemcevic has been there or thereabouts with these two at the last checkpoint. She was just off the back of Fischer. Gereka Kerman seems to have sort of eaten up some of the gap. Maybe she was just keeping her powder dry. She was lying at the last checkpoint that we had for the women's race at 100 and the lead rider Anna Weinbeer had a gap of nearly 3 minutes over Fischer, and then Njemcevic, Gereka Kerman, and Chiara Guelanda of Italy. So as opposed to the men's race, which was pretty much all Italian dominated, you can see there's a big spread of nations here. There we are, some confirmation. Anna Weinbeer, 2 minutes and 1 second ahead of Njemcevic. A 47-second gap between Njemcevic and Gereka Kerman. And we've seen that Gereka Kerman is riding with Fischer, Natalia Fischer, the Spaniard. There she is stuck by herself, Njemcevic. Good ride by her, though. She just knows she's got to hang in there. But once again, it's been the Swiss rider, Anna Weinbeer, current leader of the World Cup, has just ridden off, left everybody behind. After Gereka Kerman, there is a raft of Italian riders, Sandra Meyerhofer being the first of those on the current standings. You can see from those flags, I mean, there's a breeze, but it's not huge, and just enough to keep you cool, but not to sort of blast you. That sort of wind, it's the big enemy of every rider, more so on the road. But the biggest enemy of riders is not trade wind. It's not necessarily overall fatigue. It's wind. It plays such a huge part in slowing you down and putting you off. And Anna Weinbeer, great crowd out, just looking so comfortable.
Kan er niks se. Hey Anna, hey Anna.
Some very, very steep ramps here in Elba, right down on, I think, the largest sprocket there. And the KTM rider wearing 151 and the overall leader's jersey, the red jersey. She's doing exactly what she did in the first round. What a year she's having so far. She's in to maintain form at this level from February through to May is something pretty special. Designated zones where you can take on water, you can take on whatever fluids you're taking on. There's also dedicated tech zones here. Like every mountain bike race, if you have a technical, if something happens and you're out on the course, then it's up to you to fix it. Or you can get your bike to a neutral tech area which are dotted around the course, and then they have a limited number of supplies for you to be able to change things and fix things. That's one of the great joys of mountain biking for me, mountain bike racing, is that you are self-supporting in that respect. You do have to make sure that you've got the right kit, your bike's really well set up, you can't mess about, and that you are technically competent to deal with those things when they happen. It's no good you're having a puncture or something snapping and you just stand there looking at your bike going, well, what do I do? Of course, if something major goes wrong, that may be the end of your race. You might just stand there because there's no way of doing anything else. But it is fantastic that we still have racing where you just have to look after yourself. And once again, you can see just how much more closed in and quiet, and it will be hot, these climbs. Although it's only 20 degrees ambient temperature. There's not much overall canopy shade here. So if you're riding through a forest, you'll know this if you ride in most of Northern Europe or riding in the UK. When you ride through a forest and you've got canopy around you, you've got just a rider riding by themselves. So Great just only one riding, had to do everything he could himself. Natalia Weinbeer, the leader in the women's race here, just ridden away from people. She was first. She's been first at every single checkpoint. It's worth just sort of thinking about her form in general. So far this year, I mean, she started her mountain bike racing season at Calpe and just rode away from people in the first round of the Marathon World Cup at Calpe, take that victory. Hence, she's wearing that red jersey of the cup leader. But she took a second place in the Four Islands Epic in the middle of April, having had a real sort of layoff, not complete layoff, but having a little bit of top-level race time off for a couple of months. She's come back here to Italy. She won in Trentino. We were talking about that race just now with the men. So she won in Trentino just a week ago. So she's absolutely on super form. But let's just consider this. She actually carried that form for the whole of the winter season as well, as we watch. Fischer currently chasing in second, but look at the time gap, 4 minutes down. But she's overhauled Njemcevic. I think Njemcevic will be fairly close by, but all the way down, look, all the way down, she's been behind Anna Weinbeer. Now beginning to possibly speed up, but nowhere near enough to take a podium victory. She will be wanting to stay on the podium, keep the World Cup points up, because anything can happen. Anna Weinbeer could suffer an injury. She could have something going on later in the season that just drops her form off. She may peak too early, but the reason I say that is, could she peak too early? I doubt it. Look at the results she had in the previous year, going back to Weinbeer. She had, in top-level races, 5 victories and a second place in the World Championships. She won 3 big races in France at the end of the season, September and October. So she won at La Forestière. She also won the Extreme Salut, and she was first at the Roc d'Azur as well, and carried that right the way through. Just flick out the back there for Fischer. She carried that form through the winter season, from Roc d'Azur in October through to Calpe in February, the end of February. Okay, so she's clearly in a class above her rivals at the moment, Anna Fischer. Anna Weinbeer. And there she is. Anybody who races at any level will know how difficult it is to maintain that level of performance. And that doesn't matter if you're finishing 15th every race or 50th every race. To maintain the standard, your best standard, through an entire winter, through a previous season, an entire winter, and then back into the next season is very, very difficult. But this lady, the Swiss rider Anna Weinbeer, is clearly in a class of her own, passing male riders. And will I think have Nick Fischer on the camera bike behind. Just look at the confirmation of times then. Weinbeer 3 minutes and 51 seconds ahead of Fischer, 4:32 ahead of Njemcevic, and 9 minutes ahead of Greta Kerman. All of these riders will gain points, and that's really, well, I see Chelsea Bolton in there in a top 10 spot, but 16 3/4 minutes down on the leader, which is, it's a huge gap. What you have to think about though is that you're amassing points for a World Cup, so every rider wants to do their best. It must be demoralizing if you're 4, 5, 10, 15 minutes behind the winner, if it's consistently like that and you know you're in good shape. But it's about amassing points. Your positions will reflect your points, not your time. Same course as the men's, 75 kilometers. The temperature up a little bit, getting to the top end of the 20, maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
Scooting out onto the road very shortly.
Yes.
And just in perfect control, Anna Weinbeer. Much closer in terms of riders chasing in the previous round at Calpe, but still the same position up the front. The Swiss rider just totally dominating. Trying to get a bit of a tuck in. Even if nobody's chasing you, it's nice to just sort of relax on those bars while you've got 20 seconds to do that. Not much room to do it here. Our apologies about any breakup. That big mass of rock on the right-hand side won't be helping. 8 minutes and 40 seconds down now to Greta Kerman. 4 minutes down to our second place rider, Fischer. One of the male riders going by, thumbs up. It's a pretty close-knit community, the Marathon World Cup community, the marathon scene. Mountain biking in general is it's very friendly, it's very relaxed, and as Val Solomon was saying, there's quite a big crossover now with gravel. And gravel biking is a good way of, as Alaman was saying, and also Escalay was saying exactly the same thing. You really, push your legs. You're doing some off-road. You're still trying to keep that off-road handling going, but the distances are long. The climbs are nothing like as technical or probably as steep sometimes as most of the time as it is here. And you just don't get single track like this that we're watching Fischer going over in 90%, 99% of gravel races. But as in races on the road, the long ones that you do for stamina will really help you if you've got good bike handling skills already. The long stamina races will really help you, and that's what gravel's doing as a format. It's giving those long races at higher speeds, at higher tempo, which is why early in the days of gravel, time trialists in particular were very good at gravel racing, because you want to keep yourself going at 90% plus all the time, and the terrain allowed you to do that. So you get that extra fitness training, extra stamina training. As we're following Fischer, Natalia Fischer, the the Spanish rider, riding for Extremadura Ecopilas, the champions jersey. lying second overall she was in the Mountain Marathon World Cup. Here's a good look at Lejla Njemcevic's stats compared to Fischer. She's lost out now, she's been overhauled. And Fischer is speeding up and this lady is slowing down. It's a very good graphic, that one, isn't it? You can see very, very effectively and very quickly how you're doing compared to other riders. The gap 4:30 from our lead rider Anna Weinbeer, who's riding into a solo victory ahead of Fischer, who is on your screen as she drops onto the road. We saw that shot from head on just now, but there's only, what, 40 seconds between Njemcevic and her. And the question is, has Njemcevic got anything to bring back this rider? And I very much doubt it. I think we're going to be looking at this order now, unless there's a technical disaster or a total blow up by Fischer, and it doesn't look like it's going to be. 1, 2, 3 will be Weinbeer, just running out of your shot there. So smooth, so quick, so powerful, clearly so fit. Ahead of Natalia Fischer. So the 1-2 in the championships will be maintained, because that's how it finished in the previous round. And then Njemcevic rankings. That depends on how many races you're doing and how many points you're amassing. In the World Cup, which is what we're concerned with here, this woman is actually in a class of her own at the moment. Second in the World Championships in Valais last year in Switzerland, her home nation. When you think, in fact, of how well she's ridden over the last 12 to 18 months, it would have been, it would have been the icing on the cake, wouldn't it, if she'd have taken the World Championships in Valais. She would have been riding in a World Championship jersey in every race of the season, other than a leader's jersey like this, and that's just tremendous. It sort of puts you up to a sort of stratospheric level. Well, Njemcevic losing time still to, well, losing time from, should I say, Natalia Fischer. Fischer has taken more time over Njemcevic. Greg Kerman, the Polish rider, in 4th spot, would have to make up 2 minutes roughly on Njemcevic to get on the podium. It just depends on whether the Bosnia-Herzegovina rider Njemcevic has really completely blown, or whether she just throttled back, going, you know, that's it, I can't do anything more. Coming into the final sections here then for our leader in this race, Anna Weinbeer. She just dominated the first round in Calpe. She's absolutely dominated this one here, the KTM rider. She's ridden from start to finish through every single checkpoint in 1st spot in this World Cup leaders red and black jersey. And nobody's been able to come close to her today. So she'll maintain her grip on the top of the World Cup. Magnificent riding by the Swiss rider. As I said, last year in big races, 5 big victories, the last one in October of last year, and she carried that form right the way through the winter until we got to Calpe back at the end of February and just rode off from everybody. What a superstar of riding. And the Swiss, I mean, they all knew how good she was, but I think sometimes, speaking to Swiss riders, they just shake their heads and go, this is just tremendous. What a superstar. The Swiss have always had really great riders, men and women, possibly more so in the men's side, names that stretching right the way back to people like Thomas Friedrich in the late 80s, early 90s. But they've always had a tremendous tradition in mountain bike cross country and in marathon. Anna Weinbeer continuing that flag flying exercise. No technicals, no problems, and just a massive lead. I think she's knocked off the gas a little bit, Weinbeer. She doesn't need to go flat out because there's 30 seconds has come
okay,
down.
1 minute. That's the last one. Take it easy, have fun.
I have cramps.
Don't think about cramps. Think about
This
fun.
is Fischer. Still
No?
charging. She's not going to reach Weinbeer, that's
Relax,
for sure.
5 seconds, the legs and cramps go away. Yeah. Relax.
Gives a little glance up. There's Anna Weinbeer over across a little bit of valley towards Capoliveri town centre, on the right hand side of her now. This is where, that exactly there is where the little dig came from Erigoni. Looks like a strange graphic, that, doesn't it? Fischer currently second. She's definitely going to be second. But you never know what happens in mountain biking. Well, you never know what happens in any sport, do you? But mountain biking in particular, there could be some small little sharp flint waiting around the corner that will take 2 minutes out of her trying to fix it. And Lejla Njemcevic in third spot at the moment, 2 minutes down on the Spanish rider, could suddenly sneak a second place on the podium, but you just never know. No lack of commitment or effort by either the Spanish rider or the rider from Bosnia-Herzegovina.
Sono Federico, dov'è che mi fermo?
And a big smile from Anna Weinbeer, the Swiss rider. Just no effort at all now to, you know, she doesn't have to worry about chasing people. She's just going to wheel her way to the finish. What an astonishingly dominant performance she's had in the opening 2 rounds of this Marathon World Cup, the UCI Hero Marathon World Cup. And Gerhard Vanzi, the organizer of the World Cup, must be just sort of grinning from ear to ear to have this class of rider, or class of riders in both the men and the women's elite, and all the leisure riders here to enjoy the same course as everybody else. But this is the win for Anna Weinbeer. Big smile on her face. Absolutely magnificent performance. 4 minutes separates her from the next rider who's going to come home. Natalia Fischer from Spain, and Lejla Njemcevic.
Is the winner of round 2, Anna Weinbeer. Congratulations, Glückwunsch, gratulation.
Big smile, grab the banner, do all the money shots now while you can.
And happy face once again. Facciamo sentire il nostro entusiasmo per la vincitrice Anna Weinbeer. Hey, hey.
And she has every right to look extremely happy. What a superstar.
All right, what a day, what a day.
Are we going to get the shot underneath the banner? Yes, we are. We had this one last time. In super shape. She's a pleasure to watch, to ride. I mean, she's not a flashy rider in any way, shape or form. She just lets the bike do what it wants to do. She's not all arms and legs. She's a very tidy rider, but very fast. It's deceptive, really. I mean, she looks like a sort of like neat, tidy rider. There's not much wasted energy in her riding at all. You can't say that of all riders, actually. Some of them are all over the shop, looking way more spectacular, and it's just the way their style works for them. It's not necessarily any faster. It can look great on camera, but as far as Anna Weinbeer goes, she's a very tidy rider. You have to have a certain mentality, don't you, to be a marathon mountain bike rider, especially at this sort of level when you are being, you're being thoroughly thumped by the person in front. And you just got to ride for yourself. There is no other way of riding. It's not like a road race where perhaps the lone break is often the exception to the rule. In this sort of sport, it's not really that uncommon to have people riding by themselves. And you've got to have a really tight, hard mindset to be able to do this for hours and hours and hours, which is what it is, at 80 to 90% of your full gas. Very easy to let your head go down, very easy to think, oh, just knock off the gas a little bit. To keep it going is a particular mindset.
You're live now.
Natalia Fischer on the camera bike. I don't know if you can hear me, Nick. We're not been able to hear you in the
just made the last
studio
really
here.
steep climb. That's the girl on second place. She was suffering, but I can see she really is enjoying the last few meters
Natalia
now.
Fischer. It's a
And
shame
made
we've
it
not been able to
safely to
throw
the finish
to
line.
Nicholas this time around. It was fantastic in Calpe. We'll get that sorted out for the next round. But I think it's probably just a technical issue in terms of signal relay. It's a very, very difficult island, interestingly, to do that. There's lots of small rock faces and bits and tree cover causes a lot of problems as well. It's actually easier to beam down shots from a big high mountain than it is to do something on an island like this. But the upsurge in technology to be able to produce shots like this with drones and with 5G relay of signals is just tremendous. We never had this up until Hero really pioneered this in the last few years. As I said before, it's been the holy grail of broadcasters to be able to do this out on the trails and bring you live shots, and just as simply hasn't been possible till now. Nice pull focus from the bottom of the screen to Natalia Fischer. Happy to be in second spot as she was in Calpe, and maintains her second spot in the World Cup standings.
Natalia Fischer giving the best, the maximum until the end. Congratulations.
And she will know that you can't brood over the fact there's somebody faster than you. You do what you can do and you move on to the next day. And she's very, very happy with that spot.
Manca la terza, secondo gradino al podio conquistato da Natalia Fischer.
Another 4 minutes back to this lady here. This is Njemcevic, tiny, tiny rider. She's been around the scene for quite a long time at this high level. Had some great victories. Not quite at the same sort of level as other riders coming through above her, like Weinbeer, like Fischer. But you can never discount her. One of the sort of riders who'll just, certain courses are better for her. She's pretty good at the higher stuff as well. But you can see the difference between Njemcevic and Weinbeer, just in their demeanor. She's coming into the outskirts of the town towards the finish. She knows she's got third in her back pocket, which is terrific, but just looking tired. Capoliveri in Elba, playing host to this second round of the UCI Hero Marathon World Cup. And another dominant victory for the Swiss rider Anna Weinbeer in the women's elite race. Next we move to the Naturland race in Andorra, different kettle of fish altogether. And it'll be interesting to see how Anna Weinbeer goes on those. I mean, she's proved herself that she can ride in all sorts of conditions. Third spot then for Lejla Njemcevic. She's had it today. She's a tired lass.
Of the podium, congratulations to Lejla Njemcevic for this big performance, ladies and gentlemen.
Congratulations indeed. Yeah. Andorra next, end of this month, 31st of May, and then the big one, the one that started it all off in the Hero Series, and there's been such a beacon of, you know, race organisation, complete from start to finish. It's probably, I've done a lot of races over the years, including the big Grand Tours and including lots of mountain bike races. I have to say that Hero Sud Dolomitis is probably the best organised race and festival that I've ever worked at. And they really, really have created this series out of nothing. Dedication, hard work. They worked for some time in the Middle East to try and promote mountain biking there. It had successes, but wasn't the same sort of thing, and they've now pulled together this World Cup. 4th place today, another good solid result. Big, powerful, rangy rider. It always amazes me how they just look over their shoulders to see who else might be around. It's just sort of force of habit. You get used to it because you're never quite sure where you are in relation to everybody else. A significant gap on a course like this between 1st and 4th space of 8 minutes or so. It's a truly fast course all the time. And to get 8 minutes over somebody is some achievement. To get 4 minutes over a second place is some achievement. Much closer in the men's. And a good day for Topado in the men's race, with the 1st and 3rd. Scott racing with Goria in the 2nd spot. Absolutely beautiful countryside. I do wonder what will happen to these races going forward as the early spring gets hotter and hotter and it gets drier and drier. It'll be more interesting to see what sort of races are occurring. Look back at Greka Kellerman's performance during this up. Good in the first half, falling away in the second half. I think speed playing a big part there. She's very good at sort of settling in and getting a rhythm going, Greka Kerman, but I think if you've got somebody riding just that little bit faster, the backwards and forwards pace of trying to catch them and keep with them sometimes doesn't suit her riding style. But the winner, Anna Weinbeer, clearly has a plan in this World Cup. Her style so far in this series has been to get stuck in early and just to ride and ride and ride and ride at her own pace, set a high pace and just ride people off a wheel, which is what she seems to be doing very successfully. And it's the most demoralizing thing in the world to see somebody ahead of you, like an Anna Weinbeer, where you think you've got a chance of staying with them and you just can't. You just simply can't. It's that half a kilometre, quarter of a kilometre faster, and quarter of a kilometre an hour, should I say, faster, and they'll just ride away, and there's no way you can stay there. And that is another turning point. Top riders are able to dig in at that point and go, well, I've just got to ride my own race. I've got to stay there and hope that I can take a little bit of time back on the descent maybe, or something might happen, or that the person ahead might start to flag, or they put too much energy in. It's a whole range of factors you can't let affect your ability to ride at whatever percentage you think you can ride at. Just a Quick confirmation then of our top 3 riders, finishers. Anna Weinbeer, 4 minutes, almost 4.5 minutes ahead of Fischer. 6 3/4 minutes ahead of Lejla Njemcevic. 2:20 really the gap between second and third, so Njemcevic just slipping off a little bit further. And lots of the leisure riders finishing at this point. White number boards with the blue figures on it. And we're waiting the arrival of Goreka Kerman from Poland. Sticking with it in the first half and just losing ground in the second. And there she is, a 4th spot. And let's just see how far down she was. 13 minutes and 49 seconds in the end. Here's the results for the men then, just to remind you. Jacob Derregoni taking a sprint finish win over Stefano Goria. Not quite as close as it looks there, but still sprint finish. Joelli De Cosmo taking 3rd spot, rounding out the podium for the Italians. 2 spots for the Taparo team and 1 for Scott. Wout Alleman, thankfully getting a 4th spot for him. He'll want to boost his points. Look at Andres Seewald though, 27th overall. Today, not a good day. Martin Stoschek, 30th. So some of the big names, not quite so good. You can see Derregoni and Gorea just trading places a little bit, but always up there. De Cosmo did a lot of the work early on, but dropped off towards the end. Still got his 3rd spot there. And Wout Alleman pushing hard. Great result by Hartmann, Jakob Hartmann. Although he was fast early on, he just had to dig in, and good for Rabersteiner as well. The man who...
Representing Spain, Natalia Fischer. The prize is presented by Mr. Gabriele Rotellini, Councillor of the Municipality of Capoliveri and of the Tuscan Archipelago National Park.
Abbiamo dato I numeri, li diamo ancora, ovviamente bei numeri perché con i computer al giorno d'oggi col
The local areas really have got behind this World Cup. It's been a long process to try and bring people on board. Anybody who's ever had to work with local authorities and so forth knows how difficult it is, but here in Italy, of course, they just love their cycling. So all good.
UCI Cross Country Marathon World Cup Grand Capoliveri Legend Cup. KTM Spada powered by Brenda Briggs, representing Switzerland. Congratulations! The prize is presented by Mr.
Wow, well done to Anna Weinbeer. What an amazing victory. She's in a class of her own at the moment, but watch out, Lejla Njemcevic thinks she's back, thinks she can do something. She's coming back in form. It'll only take one problem in the high mountains for the rider from Bosnia-Herzegovina to really challenge. But the first 2 places in the championship remain the same. They always try and have these races in the center of a town if they possibly can, because it just adds to such great atmosphere at a world-class event. Now, congratulations to our top three, Anna Weinbeer, Natalia Fischer and Lejla Njemcevic, all looking super happy.
It's shower time. Attention.
That'll be some local sparkling brew. I'm glad they started saying this, actually. Attention, it'll be shower time, because these poor old cameramen at the front. You keep them back with the barriers, but it just wrecks
so
equipment.
please speed up in order to stay in the TV spots. Hey! Woo! Hey, 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 hey! Hey! Congratulations so much to the podium. Lejla Njemcevic, Natalia Fischer, and the winner, Anna Weinbeer.
Marathon World Cup.
Okay.
Next off to Andorra, as I said.
And now, coming up next, thank you so much. We need one more.
Then a big gap to the Trauman Cioti Europe on the 20th of September, rounding up.
Weinbeer, together with Wout Alleman, Belgium, the two leaders of the ranking.
So Alleman keeps his jersey, which is good.
Okay, make some noise. Anna Weinbeer, Wout Alleman, leader of the Hero UCI Cross Country Marathon World Cup ranking after 2 rounds. Thank you so much.